From the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., this is Rewind. This week, space tourist Dennis Tito announced his plans to organize and start funding a mission to send a male-female couple on a 500 one-day trip around Mars and back. He is funding the Inspiration Mars Foundation and looking for money and applicants.
I'm really excited about this. There are no showstoppers. We're on a tight schedule. We've already started. We have funding to keep this going for 2 years out of my pocket. But anyway, we should be able to raise the funds to complete the mission. This is a challenging but attainable goal for advancing human experience and knowledge. Now is the time.
A former Biosphere 2 crew member and Inspiration Mars hopeful applicant for the crew voiced the mission's obligation to humanity.
It's also important that this is a man and a woman because they represent humanity. After all, we are more or less 50% men and 50% women. And what I think is even more important is that it represents our children. That whether they're a girl or a boy, they see themselves reflected in that crew.
NPC President Keene hosted a celebration of the women's suffrage centennial.
A report issued last week found that male front-page bylines at the top U.S. newspapers outnumbered female bylines in coverage of the 2012 presidential election by a margin of nearly 3-1. Men were also far more likely to be quoted than women in newspapers, television, and on public radio.
Former adversaries, a Palestinian and an Israeli, whose peace activism is the subject of a documentary, spoke of their idealism.
We are not doomed. This is not our destiny to keep on killing each other forever, and we can change it and break once and for all this endless cycle of violence, and this is by simply talking.
And why they now are working together.
We discovered that our life is more important than the land. And our life is also expensive.
An economist contended at a newsmaker that even the positive steps to decrease the deficit will cause hardship for the country.
We have a debate now focused on the budget deficit that there's no possible way to win that. I mean, I'm not talking about whether, the Republicans or President Obama could win it. I mean, there's no possible way for the country to win that because the winning in that story means we get the deficit down. That means slower growth and higher unemployment. No one in their right mind could really be happy with that outcome.
At a meeting to foster U.S. economic competitiveness, a nuclear power plant corporate executive expressed concern about the road from education to employment among immigrants.
They used to come here and want to stay. Now they come here and too many want to go home. We need them here to be competitive.
The governor of Vermont, who is dyslexic, shared his personal story to advocate for national literacy.
If we're going to succeed in our goal of having every kid reading by 3rd grade, and I've said so many times, if we can teach Pete Shumlin how to read by 3rd grade, we can teach anyone how to read by 3rd grade. And it's really true. But it's absolutely critical that we give the teachers, they're incredibly hardworking, dedicated teachers, the training that they need to be able to teach every kid how to read.
From the National Press Club, where news happens, this is Rewind. I'm Ken Gilio.